Hey guys, this is Austin, and inside this slightly sketchy looking box could very well be the world's smallest smartphone. So this just hit Kickstarter last week, and shout out to Unihertz for actually hooking us up with the phone a little bit early, but this is the Jelly. So these actually won't start shipping until August or so this isn't fully final packaging, but that is so tiny. So inside the box, looks like we get a little bit of paperwork about the phone, as well as the Jelly itself, which is, okay. So that's pretty small. It's hard to kind of get your mind around that this is a full-fledged smartphone, because it is. Not only does this run Android, it actually runs Android 7.0 Nougat. Now, as you might imagine, this doesn't have the biggest battery in the world, but because it actually has such a tiny screen, it might actually not be too bad. Pop off the back, and not only do we have a spot to install the battery, but we also have a slot for a micro SD card, as well as 2 SIMs. So in a phone that's this small, you're actually really not giving up a lot. So for comparison, this is what it looks like next to a Galaxy S8. The Jelly is rocking a 2.4-inch screen. But look at this. So what's cool is this is full Android. So not only do we have pretty much all the normal Google apps, but we actually do have the Play Store as well. You can literally look at like 3 characters of a name of an app. How am I gonna use this keyboard? Are you serious right now? Can I like rotate it? You know what though? I actually can kind of type on that. I have to go slow, but it works. I'm actually really impressed with how usable the keyboard is. I mean, seriously, this is by far the smallest keyboard I've ever used, period. And yet it works. It's not great, but honestly, I actually don't feel like I'm really losing much. Inside, the Jelly is a full-fledged smartphone. So it's rocking a quad-core processor, 1 GB of memory, 8 GB of storage, as well as, of course, that micro SD card slot. Really, the biggest bottleneck with the Jelly is that 2.4-inch 240p display. Now, to be fair, it actually doesn't look terrible in person. Yes, it could be a little bit brighter, and the resolution is, well, low, but it does make a lot of apps kind of usable. Now, with a quad-core processor, this actually isn't too far off from a lot of budget phones that you would normally use. And because it's a little bit thicker, it actually probably won't run too slowly. Yo, Geekbench actually isn't bad. So it scores 475 on the single core and 1298 on the multi-core. That's actually not that far off from a bigger, slightly older phone like a Moto G3. The Jelly kind of feels like a bit of an older phone. I don't really mean that necessarily a bad way. So the plastic build reminds me a lot of the Galaxy S4. Sure, maybe not the greatest smartphone in the world, but it was also like $700 when it came out. So you've got a decent processor, you've got LTE, you've got Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, and something that even the iPhone doesn't have is a headphone jack. One quirk of the Jelly are the buttons. So down below the screen, you have a home button as well as back and menu keys. So to get to multitasking, you actually have to tap and hold on the home button, very much like an old school Android phone. Talk about your first PC though. Okay, so YouTube works. Now with that tiny 240p screen, it is definitely not the crispiest experience in the world, but it actually does work. Okay, so the speaker is maybe not amazing. But to be fair, if you're getting the Jelly to listen to the inbuilt speaker and watch video on the display, you should probably look elsewhere. The Jelly also has a 5-megapixel rear-facing camera as well as a 2-megapixel front-facing camera. Let's get some close-up action. That actually the HDR worked. It pulled a lot out of that. Oh wait. Okay, so when it means HDR, it's actually taking multiple photos and stitching them together. There's some serious ghosting on Ken's face here. Let's get some non-HDR action. There you go, Jimmy striking a pose here, and it's really hard to judge the pictures on this tiny screen. From here, it actually doesn't look that bad, but I actually want to see what we can do with video. All right, we are now recording on the Jelly. Jimmy, thoughts on this wonderful video quality that you cannot see?
I can't see it, but I'm sure it's mediocre.
From what I'm seeing on the screen, this isn't that bad. I mean, it's probably not gonna look great once you actually blow it up on a PC, but the key to making any camera look good is a 240p screen. Something tells me this front-facing camera, not gonna be too hot. Yeah, that picture totally sums up my feeling of how bright the sun is. Man, we look like a happy bunch. But again, it's kind of missing the point of the Jelly. This is not the best camera, this is not the best screen. This is one of the smallest phones in the world, and it is in fact the smallest smartphone with LTE. For like $80, the Jelly is not the most practical phone in the world, but as a backup phone or maybe something for workouts, it's actually not bad. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below and I will catch you in the next one.